It was a quiet Sunday evening in Chicago, the kind of evening where the city slows down just enough for you to hear your own thoughts. Daniel sat on his couch staring at his banking app. He refreshed the screen, then again, and one more time as if somehow magically the numbers would change, but they didn't. $1,842, that was all he had left. Daniel leaned back, confused, not panicking, not yet, just confused. Because this didn't make sense. 8 years ago, Daniel had graduated college with nothing but a degree and a part-time job that barely paid his rent. Back then, he was making around $32,000 a year. Life was simple but tight. He lived in a small studio apartment with thin walls. His dinners were basic: eggs, toast, sometimes cheap takeout if he felt like celebrating surviving another week. He used public transport because owning a car felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. And every single night, lying in that cramped bed, staring at the ceiling, he told himself one thing: once I start making real money, everything will change. Back then, Daniel had a number in his head: $75,000 a year. To him, that wasn't just a salary, it was freedom. Freedom from stress. Freedom from checking prices before ordering food. Freedom from saying maybe next time to things he actually wanted. He believed that once he hit that number, life would finally feel easy. Years passed. Daniel worked harder than most people around him. He stayed late, took extra projects, switched jobs twice, negotiated better offers. Slowly, steadily, his income grew. $45K, then $60K, then $85K, and finally $120,000 a year. He had made it. At least that's what everyone around him thought. But the change didn't happen all at once. That's the tricky part. It never does. First, it was the apartment. He told himself, I've worked too hard to live like this. So he moved into a modern high-rise downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows, a beautiful city view. The rent nearly doubled, but it felt worth it, at least for a while. Then came the car. Public transport didn't match his new lifestyle anymore, so he leased a sleek SUV. Comfortable, stylish, expensive. Again, it felt justified. Then came the small things: food delivery instead of cooking, a premium gym membership instead of morning runs, subscriptions he barely used, weekend trips because he deserved it. Nothing felt excessive on its own. That's what made it dangerous. And now, sitting on that couch, staring at $1,842, Daniel couldn't understand how someone earning $120,000 a year could feel exactly like he did when he was broke. Because the truth was uncomfortable. He had upgraded his entire life, but not his financial position. A few days later, Daniel met his old college friend Marcus at a quiet cafe. After some small talk, Daniel finally admitted it. I don't get it. I'm making more money than I ever imagined, but I still feel stuck. Marcus smiled like someone who had seen this story before. Let me guess, he said. You thought more money would fix everything. Daniel didn't respond because that was exactly what he thought. Marcus leaned forward and said something that stuck with him. There's a pattern most people never notice. The more you earn, the more your life expands to consume it. Daniel frowned. What does that even mean? Marcus grabbed a napkin and drew 2 lines. This was you before, he said, pointing to the first line. Low income, low expenses. Then he drew another line much higher. This is you now, high income. Then he drew a third line almost touching the second. And this is your expenses now, they followed your income. Daniel stared at it quietly. That's exactly what happened, he said under his breath. Marcus nodded. It starts small, you upgrade one thing and suddenly everything around it feels out of place. Daniel thought about his apartment, then his furniture, then his clothes, then his daily habits. It was like one decision had triggered another and another and another, a chain reaction that never stopped. And the worst part, Marcus continued, you don't even stay happy. Daniel laughed softly. Yeah, that's true. The car you were excited about, Marcus asked. How long did that feeling last? Daniel paused. A few weeks. Exactly, Marcus said. Your brain resets. What once felt like luxury becomes normal. Then you need something bigger to feel the same excitement again. Daniel looked down at his coffee. It didn't feel special anymore. Marcus leaned back. And when your income goes up, banks trust you more. They offer bigger credit limits, bigger loans, bigger commitments. It feels like opportunity, but it's actually pressure. For the first time in years, something clicked in Daniel's mind. His problem wasn't how much he earned, it was how he lived. That night, Daniel went home and opened his bank statements. The last 3 months, he went through every transaction, slowly, honestly, no excuses, no justifications. Just truth, and what he saw surprised him. He wasn't struggling to survive, he was spending on convenience, comfort, and impulse. That's when he decided something had to change. Not dramatically, not overnight, but structurally. The next time his paycheck came in, he made one simple change. Before he could touch the money, a portion of it automatically moved into a separate account, out of sight, out of mind, and suddenly harder to spend. Then he made another rule. Every time his income increased, he would only allow himself to use half of it. The other half would go straight into savings or investments. No excuses. Finally, he did the hardest thing. He asked himself a question he had never asked before. What does a good life actually cost me? Not a perfect life, not an impressive life, just a good one. He picked a number, and for the first time he had a limit. Months passed, the changes were slow but real. His savings started growing, his stress started fading, and something unexpected happened. He stopped chasing every upgrade. One evening he checked his bank account again, but this time he didn't refresh the screen. He didn't hope for a miracle, because for the first time he didn't need one. He finally understood something most people never do. Money doesn't disappear, it gets absorbed, quietly, gradually, invisibly. And unless you control it, it will control you. In the end, Daniel realized something simple but powerful. Wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap, that's what gives you freedom.